Hello there, Lunar Squadron. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another Star Wars Jedi Survivor video. Today is the day that we have all been waiting for. Today we received a gameplay trailer out of IGN showing us around the new planet Koboh in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Today we are going to be breaking down this 9-minute gameplay trailer, showing you all of the little details that Nick and I noticed as we scrubbed along through the trailer. We're going to be scrubbing through it together here. So we're going to get into that in just a minute, but first guys, if you're new to the channel, we would absolutely love to have you. All you got to do is hit that little red subscribe button and the bell notification button right on next to it. It's going to let you know every single time that we upload the latest and greatest Star Wars Jedi Survivor content. With that, Nick, you ready to explore around Koboh?
Yes, we have a lot to get to.
Alright, let's do it. The gameplay trailer opens up to this shot of the new planet Koboh. This is the expansive world that we are going to be traversing throughout Star Wars Jedi Survivor. At the beginning of the gameplay trailer, it tells us that Cal has crash landed here. This is kind of what we were expecting with this world, but we've got such a great in-depth look here. 9 whole minutes to scrub through. Nick, why don't you go ahead and get us started with what we're seeing on the D-pad here and just the general user interface.
Yeah, so we finally get our first look at the user interface for the character in this game for Cal, what the player will be using. And if you take a look at the bottom left, we just want to kind of point this out and show off how this works. So you will see that you can have 2 stances equipped at the same time, and that you will use the left and right D-pad to toggle between them. So if you take a look on the left, this player has the dual wield option activated, and on the right, they have the double-bladed lightsaber option. So you will be able to have 2 stances equipped at once, and you'll be able to switch between those. You'll see throughout this gameplay that the player does just that. He has different stances toggled to different D-pads throughout. And then if you take a look, just like Jedi Fallen Order, you will notice that up on the D-pad is the stim, the health that you receive from BD, just like Fallen Order. And then down on the D-pad will allow you to activate BD's abilities. He's able to scan the area that you will see. He will also have this thing called a BD visor that we'll see later on, and BD binocular. So you'll see all kinds of stuff that BD will be able to do in Jedi Survivor.
Here we're going to look at what you were talking about, Nick, and that is the BD visor. You can see that you press down on the D-pad to enter BD visor. Also, the folks over at IGN reminding all of us that this is footage taken from a pre-release build of the game, which might explain some of the stutters that we're seeing and some of the frame rate drops. So just take that with a grain of salt, guys. We totally expect that to be ironed out, especially now that they've taken the extra couple weeks to iron out the final build of the game plus day 1 patch. So we're expecting to have a far more polished version of the final game here, as polished as this already looks. So, Nick, you want to kind of explain to us how the BD visor works in motion here?
Yeah, so you will press down on the D-pad, and that will open up BD's visor. And then within BD's visor, you will be able to use the right stick to activate what they are calling BD binoculars here. You see them taking a look at a Toronto shell. That's at least how I see it. It looks like the city of Toronto, like how they've spelled it. But in the BD binoculars, you will be able to use A or X, depending on what system you're on. They're using Xbox for this playthrough. You will be able to place beacons on areas of interest throughout the map, and then you will also see the Jedi Order logo out there in the distance. The BD binoculars also will tell you compass degrees of the direction that you are looking. You'll see that at the top as kind of Cal is looking around through BD. You'll see different degrees. You'll see it changing. So it's just a nice way to help you kind of tell which direction you're headed, where you're looking, just stuff like that.
Also, guys, you can see towards the top that they've kind of blurred out the objective markers, but we've actually caught IGN slipping here, because if you go to 1 frame, they actually left in the objective, and it says find Greez as the objective. So I see what they were trying to do with the blurring there, but it hasn't really done its job very well.
I think that is a big deal. I think that is something that we need to make a big deal about, because everybody has been wondering, will Merrin and Greez appear in this game? There's your answer. Greez is in Jedi Survivor. They tried to blur it out. That is your objective on Koboh. You will be finding Greez. So anyone who's worried about that, there's your confirmation. They're going to be in the game. They're just fine.
Anyways, as we move further along here, we actually get a first look at the brand new holomap in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. There's a lot of new stuff here with this holomap, right, Nick? It looks like you can, first of all, set beacons. There are about 5 different beacons here, each with their own Arabesh symbol. You can drop these beacons. It looks like you can see he's dropped the first green beacon here. And what I'm assuming is this will guide you to where you're trying to go. It looks like he's placed a beacon in one area, and then maybe that's where we'll be headed next. Also, if you look at the top left-hand side, you can see that it's split between the planet map, and you can see that he's on Koboh here, and that he's 0.2% complete here, and that if you press the left bumper or L1 button if you're on PlayStation, that will take you to the galaxy map, and that's how presumably you will be able to look at different planets in this game. So here we're just seeing a segment of the Koboh planet. Each region of the planet itself that you are on also has a percentage tracker. It looks like here you are at the Gorge crash site. You can see that there's about 2 sectors here that we can see visible on screen, and it looks like the Gorge crash site on the bottom left is about 20% explored. So it's going to be tracking your exploration as you're poking around the map.
Yep, it will also be tracking, if you notice just below where it says 20% explored, it will also have a tracker that indicates how many of the collectibles that the player has found. So in this case, this IGN player has found 0 of the 14 collectibles, which makes sense because if you look, they're only 0.2% completed with Koboh. They've just arrived on Koboh. They've just got here. This is very early in this section. And you will notice that the holomap uses the Jedi Order symbol to mark your current objective. And it will also provide the distance for how far away you are. So in this case, you're roughly 833 meters away from where you need to be. And then also you will be able to still toggle between different elevations on the holomap using up and down on the D-pad, very similar to how you were able to do it in Jedi Fallen Order. But unlike Jedi Fallen Order, the holomap in Jedi Survivor looks much cleaner and much easier to understand than its predecessor. It just looks like a nice quality of life improvement overall that Respawn has made to this holomap.
And as Cal keeps on trucking along through this just beautiful environment here on Koboh, he looks towards the Lucrehulk, which is something that we've pointed out in the previous gameplay trailer that we received. And at this point in time, Cal says something about how the last time that he had seen a Lucrehulk was back on Braca. And what we really like about this is that Cal will be giving us insight into his own personal life and his own personal journeys. My hope is that we'll kind of get a bit of a sneak peek into what he's been doing in the last 5 years through these voice lines as we go throughout the game, but also learn more about the planets through Cal's own knowledge here. And one other thing that we notice, if you look to the right of the Lucrehulk, you can see the Stinger Mantis. That's where it's crashed down. You can see that Cal has crash landed here, and now we know that he's looking for Greez on this planet. That's what he's doing here. And if you look up and to the left, just faintly peering through the clouds here, or through the fog, you can see that shattered moon that we've been seeing throughout a lot of the images, including the cover art for the deluxe edition of this game. We're hoping that this is an explorable area of this game, and we can't wait to learn more about that moon because it just is a cool visual, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah, it really is. I'm very excited to learn why this moon is so important and why it keeps appearing in Jedi Survivor, what its importance is to the overall story of this game, because I have a feeling it's going to be pretty damn important. Now, as we continue through this gameplay, we finally get to see combat for the first time, an extended combat. First, we have this clip of Cal wall running, so again, wall running will be in this game just like it was in Fallen Order, so that's a cool little, just it shows up really quickly, nothing much to say about it other than wall running will be in Jedi Survivor. But the more important thing I want to focus on over these next couple shots is the combat in Jedi Survivor. We finally get a good look at the combat with the user interface and the different abilities that you can use. Because we got some of these abilities in the previous gameplay trailer, but we didn't really get a good look overall at an extended look at the combat, let's say. So in the combat, it appears that you will have a health bar on the left what we think to be a stamina bar in the middle, that middle green bar, and then there's a third bar just above that stamina bar. We believe this to be some sort of shield bar or blocking bar that tracks that overall progress. It kind of changes and is manipulated throughout, so we're not entirely sure how this is going to work, but it definitely appears to be impacted when Cal is blocking enemy attacks or is using some sort of dodge or something like that. That's how it is impacted throughout this gameplay. And then the big thing to notice here from this gameplay, really the big new addition to Jedi Survivor, is if you take a look below these bars, you will see now a new ultimate ability that can be toggled using both the left and right sticks. In this case, the ultimate ability is that force shockwave that Cal sends out, that he is able to slow down time. And as you see this ability used in further shots in this trailer, it appears maybe that this will also be a way for Cal to quickly regain stamina and chain together force attacks using less stamina. That's what it appears to do later on in this trailer. But we saw this force ability in the previous gameplay trailer. And this makes me wonder, Andreas, will this be the only ultimate ability that Cal can use in this game? Or will this be something that you can switch and you can unlock new ultimate abilities as you progress through the game, and you can kind of pick one that is tailored to your overall gameplay style? I'm very interested to see what the devs decided to do with these new ultimate abilities, because that is really the new addition here in terms of this standard gameplay that we're seeing in this trailer. Additionally, we got some information about this enemy faction that we're facing on Koboh. We still don't know who they are exactly. We don't have their name, but what we do know is that the enemy faction will feature a combination of both battle droids, standard battle droids, B2 super battle droids, commando droids, and regular human foot soldiers working together. So that is incredibly interesting. There's like a nice variety here in this faction in terms of enemies that you're fighting. And then as you scroll here near the end of this interaction, as Cal is facing off against this final human enemy, you will see the reticle that we previously thought was for blaster combat actually looks like it's used to indicate when an enemy is ready for a finishing move, because as soon as that reticle shows up, Cal activates a finishing move.
Yeah, and how cool are some of these finishing moves? I know we see some of them later on, especially with the double-sided blade, and they are just silky smooth animations here. Here we've got Cal just kicking this guy in the chest and then slicing him through the chest as he's falling. One important thing to note here is that with the human enemies, like this guy here that's not having the best of times, it doesn't appear that there is dismemberment, but with some of the droids you can see that their arms and heads and bodies just getting severed in half and lopped off. So you know that there's at least some dismemberment with the droids and with the wildlife, but doesn't appear so with the humans. Here we do see that when you are entering new areas on the map, that it will tell you what area you are entering. Here we see that we are, first off, we know that we're on Koboh from the small text in the top left, and then the larger text says that this is the derelict dam area of the map. As we saw in the holomap earlier, these planets are divided into different areas, and so this is a good way to let the player know where you are on the map and what these regions are called. You can also see the Tirana shell, is that what it was called, Nick? Tirana shell? In the back, and you can see why he's called a Tirana shell. He's got the pretty big shell there. It looks almost like a giraffe mixed with a turtle. So that's kind of neat, I guess. And you can just see here that he's going to be traversing this beautiful environment here. Just how good does this look?
The environment in this game looks phenomenal. That is definitely the shining thing I'm taking from this gameplay here, is just how beautiful overall Jedi Survivor looks. Now, the animations are a little rough at times. I know a lot of people are giving the devs a hard time for the running animation and the walking animation, but you know what? It's not that big of a deal. I think people are making a bigger deal out of it than it really is.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that point. And what I'm satisfied about are some of these combat animations are awesome, including this drop down attack here, which is just, it looks like something straight out of Assassin's Creed here, just jumping up and sneak attacking your enemies. It looks like he's using one of the force abilities here to almost levitate his opponents, lift them up in the air. Here's a great look at some of the dismemberment that you can see with the droids. You can just slice this super battle droid right down the middle here. That's just really cool to see. and then he is going to go ahead and apply a health stim there, which is something that we know very well from Fallen Order. And how cool is this finishing move here, Nick? Talking about silky smooth animations with the new double blade style. How cool is that?
Yeah, there are a lot of really cool finishing moves that you see throughout this gameplay. And then I know, Andres, you wanted to highlight something coming up next on the next combat. Near the end of this, he fights this new enemy, this new wildlife. There's a ton of wildlife that you can do combat with in this game. You'll see that he's able to pick up things in his environment and force throw it at him. But what we really want to highlight here is something at the end once he defeats this enemy, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. So you'll see here that you kind of drain this. I'd love to know what this thing is called. You're draining its health here, and once you get to the very end, you do have the option again to do the finishing move here, which Cal does. And you can see that he does a pretty cool finishing animation, and you can see a BD icon pop up on the beast that you have just slayed here. And this is something that I think we had from Fallen Order, where at least the first time that you down an enemy or wildlife, BD is able to scan that enemy or wildlife, and then you get some information about it, which later on in the trailer you see this multiple times, and you can kind of see that you are able to interact with that icon. What I'm wondering here is if this beast is guarding what looks to be like that metal door back there. I'm kind of wondering if this is like an optional sequence, not really mandated by the story, but just like when you're exploring around, maybe he's just guarding this metal door, and maybe behind the door there's some loot or something. That would be pretty cool. I don't know, just kind of spitballing here. And then just next here, you can see this sequence again. We're getting so much wildlife throughout Koboh, and I hope it's really like this throughout the rest of the planets as well, because it just is a great way to populate the world here. You can see that Cal is slicing and dicing these things in half, and once again you do get prompted by the BD icon there, and you can see since he's standing next to the animal carcass here, you can see that he is prompted with the down button on the D-pad to scan the animal. And then later on in the trailer, you'll see him use that. Just here, you can see some of the traversal mechanics in game. First of all, you can see that Cal has his double jump here with the front flip, and then he double jumps straight into the grapple. This is something that we kind of saw with the last trailer here, but here we get a bit better of a look at it, just how much of this wall he's able to traverse around and then kind of sneak upon the ledge here to get kind of another Assassin's Creed animation here. We know the ledge takedown very well. Taking out these poor B1 battle droids here. How easy do they look to take down in game? They're all pretty much one hit, as we see throughout the trailer. And the poor guy is just like what is he gonna do here? He has no idea that Cal's coming up on him. But one thing that I kind of want to ask you about, Nick, is you can see that the B1 battle droid and one of the enemies here, they're kind of pushing off this innocent looking person off this ledge. Who do we think this is? Is this like a group of locals here, or what can we infer based on the dynamics that we're going to be getting on Koboh?
Pushing off, they're shooting him off the damn ledge. Yeah, my initial impression is that this is just locals that this enemy faction is slaughtering, that they did something that this faction doesn't like. It's clear that this faction is in control of this planet, and that this local looking dude just did something that he shouldn't have, or maybe he didn't pay somebody on time for the right stuff, but clearly something to get him killed, and that is exactly what they do. So that just tells me that this faction that Cal is coming up against, they're not good people. They're a little crazy. They're going to be a type of faction that you're going to want to take down in this game. They're not the good guys here for sure. And then as you continue through this, again, we just get a great look at some of the animations with the double-bladed saber. What an incredible finishing move here. It's just so silky smooth, these animations. And the big thing I want to point out here is you will see different stances toggled down below on the left. Here now, instead of the dual wield and the double blade, this player now has the double blade and the single blade, just the single-handed lightsaber. And you will again see this throughout this shot here of this combat against these battle droids as he toggles between them. I want to point out here just how much variety again there is in the enemies here. We have a commando droid to fight. We have some B1 just standard battle droids. There's a B2 battle droid here. There's this like drone thing that shoots lasers that you can throw back at them. The B1 is throwing grenades. Just a lot of hectic and very diverse combat here. And as you complete this interaction here near the end of this, you will see right here that there are times where the game will provide tips to assist the player with combat, notifying them of different abilities that can be used. So you'll see here, this game says press L3 and R3 to slow enemies. Use your ultimate ability. It is prompting you to use your ultimate ability. So as you progress throughout the game, you will just get tips from the game, just being like, hey, here's a different thing you can use. Here's a different ability you can use to just kind of help you out in combat. And you'll see this throughout. This game will provide a lot of help here. You will see here, instead of a tip about combat, you get a journal entry where it will provide information about the world and the life within it. You can see that this entry appears on the screen about boglings and their relationship with Bogano. We can assume that these are the boglings here. And I know, Andres, one thing you mentioned before we sat down to do this breakdown, one thing you really loved was, instead of this game telling you, hey, you need to do this parkour wall jump up to reach this area, it did something very similar to what we've seen with games like Ghost of Tsushima, where the environment prompts you. You see these boglings jumping up this wall, so that's the game indicating to you, hey, that's how you need to traverse this area. You need to follow them. You need to go up. It's just a cool way to not hold your hand throughout this game. It's not the devs providing you a text screen being like, hey, go press this button to wall jump up this area to get to where you need to go. Instead, they're utilizing the wildlife and the environment, and it's just a lot more immersive. It doesn't break the immersion of this game, which is something that we both really love about this, is that they're going for a very immersive experience here.
Yeah, they are. I honestly love this so much. I think it's just a great, I don't know. I think it's a great storytelling device. It's a great way to disguise gameplay mechanics, and I just hope that they utilize this throughout the game, just looking at the ways that maybe different wildlife traverse the world. And then Cal might think, you know what, maybe I can go ahead and do that. And that's something that he does here. It's just a great way to drive Cal's personality, that he's just an observant person, and that he's open-minded, and that he's looking at the world, these worlds that he's exploring. And speaking about Cal here, we do cross by one of these meditation areas. These look very familiar from Jedi Fallen Order here. As we know, in Jedi Fallen Order, we were able to stop at these different meditation points, and then we were able to work on our skill tree. And speaking of the skill tree here, we again see on the top, when he walks over this meditation area, which he's able to sit down and meditate by pressing down the right stick. As he's crossing over the meditation area, you can see that his level progression tracker pops up on the top of the screen. This leads me to believe that, just like with the last game, as you progress in levels, you will earn skill points, which you can then spend on your skill tree to upgrade various different areas of your game in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So just another way that you can upgrade all of the different abilities that you'll have. I'm really hoping, Nick, you were mentioning earlier that maybe there will be different ultimate abilities. I'm really hoping that that's the case, and that you're able to also upgrade those ultimate abilities here. And as we progress along, just another beautiful shot of the sunset here on our new planet. And as Cal walks by this little bogling here, it gives you the option to interact with it. And I just want to say, whoever's playing this, why wouldn't you pet the little bogling? I mean, what are you doing here? Like, if I had my hands on this game, I'd be petting all the boglings. I don't know why you're not interacting with the wildlife here. But what he does do, I will give him props. He does soak in this gorgeous view in this game here. And we will just be traversing along, following more wildlife here. How packed does this world look with wildlife? Just like, it looks like every corner of this planet, there's going to be a different type of animal or beast here, or here you can see these other different little creatures here that Cal's fighting, right?
Yes, like you said, that is one thing we really noticed throughout this gameplay was just how much wildlife, diverse wildlife there was. And I just want to point out a few things as we kind of scrub through this combat here. You can keep it rolling. Is again, you can see at the bottom left, he has now the dual wield option with the single blade. So again, just another option to toggle between stances. Just a lot of variety here. We see a lot of great animations, force abilities. He uses his ultimate ability, just really chaining attacks together. You'll see him here. He throws his lightsabers. Like, this is just a lot of really cool stuff. Really just much cooler and improved combat than what we got in Fallen Order. I'm really liking the way the combat looks in this game. And after he defeats these final enemies here, again, you will see that as he approaches all of the carcasses, BD will he will start scanning the area. You'll see him just scan the area. You'll see the red laser comes out, and then it provides you a data entry to learn about what this species of animal is. It is a gorger. These are gorgers. So now we know what this wildlife is. These are gorgers on the planet of Koboh, which is incredibly cool. And then as we progress, I just want to point out how beautiful this environment is. I know that's something, Andreas, you mentioned, was just how cool this is. There is this giant, almost crate dragon looking skeleton here in this
So cool.
valley. It's really cool. And then we get another journal entry just talking more about that gorger. And then here we will see a mechanic return to this game. You will see that Cal is able to utilize BD to open up this crate, and within this crate is a cosmetic item, but instead of there just being, the standard poncho like there is in Fallen Order, like we've seen with the pre-order bonuses for the DLC, there will be so much more cosmetic items for Cal to use. In this case, we're getting a bomber jacket. We're not just getting ponchos, guys. There's going to be a ton of cosmetic items for you to equip for Cal. I really wish we would have gotten a look at a couple different things. First off, I would have really liked to look at the skill tree, but I also would really like to look at the menu to see just how many different options we're going to have for cosmetics. How far Respawn was willing to take this, because I was sick of the ponchos in Fallen Order, so I'm just happy, even if it's just stuff like bomber jackets, just to get some variety in there. I think that is really important to help take Jedi Survivor to that next level. Now, as we progress, there's just a couple other shots we want to go through. We're getting near the end of this gameplay trailer. The thing we want to mention here is Cal slides down, and I just want to say, Andreas, this IGN guy who's playing through this, what's his problem? This bird here, minding his own business, getting a drink of water, and my dude just slashes him in half. What's this about?
Yeah, I have no idea, guys. Like, it looks like the bird is running away too. Look, like he takes a step. Like, it looks like he's totally just enjoying his time. He's having a nice drink, and then whoever's playing here actually slices this bird in half, guys. Like, what's that about? First you don't pet the bogling, and then you're slicing the space turkey in half. It's a little sus to me.
Yeah, we got some issues over there at IGN, apparently. We're killing wildlife that are just minding their own business. But again, we return here. We've seen the shot earlier in the gameplay. There's like this droid here as you progress through up here on the right that's working at this like workbench thing. I wonder if that is something you will be able to interact with, or if this is just, them populating the area with locals. And again, you'll see more wildlife and what appears to be perhaps a meditation area right there in the middle. So just a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to see. And then as we get in here near the end of this gameplay, there is one final combat sequence, and I want to just kind of go through and point out a few different things about this sequence, as again we get a great look at this planet. But here it is, this final combat sequence that we see in this. It's at the Hunter's Quarry. You see here on the right upcoming, there is a strung up partial B1 droid, but with a stormtrooper's helmet. So clearly these guys, this faction, they're not all here in the head. There's something wrong with them. They're a little out there. They're a little crazy. But the thing I want to point out, Andreas, is you will see that the wildlife on Koboh and this enemy faction, they're not friends. They're not friendly with each other. The AI will actually fight against each other, and then Cal is able to get involved and do battle with both, whoever wants to fight him. So you will see this interaction between the AI, which again just adds another level to this game, more depth to this game. You'll get a great look at some more of the combat throughout here. Here you see the player has the dual wield with the double-bladed saber equipped here. What we did notice is that you don't have the crossguard or the blaster with a single saber, which makes me wonder if that's just something you will unlock later in the game. We assume that to be the case because we know that this sequence of this game, it happens very early in the game. That's what it said in the article, and that is what the IGN guide mentioned early on. And then you see here, as Cal finishes this interaction, he actually levels up, and like Andreas, like you were saying, this is how you will be acquiring skill points so that you can use that to upgrade Cal, upgrade your force abilities, upgrade your stances, upgrade stuff like that. So when you level up, you will be getting skill points just like you were in Fallen Order. And then here, you will also be getting tactical guides here. So you see another way to get information in this game. The game provides you with a tactical guide on how to take down B2 super battle droids. Again, just you will be getting a lot of information, and that is not the only information you will be getting, because as you continue here, as we finish up, Cal will be approaching this guy to listen to this echo, and he will be using what they have called psychometry, Cal's psychometry, to learn information through the Force from certain eligible items. We saw this in Fallen Order, where Cal could approach an echo and listen to it and learn about information and past events that had happened. So just nice to see this return to Jedi Survivor, just because it was a staple of the gameplay in Fallen Order. And then the final thing to mention here, the final thing in this gameplay, is that not only will you be able to get objects for Cal and cosmetics for Cal out of these crates, Cal himself will also be able to open these crates, and within it, you will also be able to get materials that you can use for BD-1. So here, as this thing pops up, it says that it is BD-1's material and that it is light metal. So you will be able to use that to help, I don't know, upgrade BD or change his cosmetics, change his look. I'm assuming you will be able to pick up lightsaber parts and blaster parts out of these crates like you were in Fallen Order. Well, you were able to pick up lightsaber parts. You weren't able to get blaster parts because that wasn't in the game, clearly. But I'm assuming you'll be able to get a nice wide variety of things out of these crates, so that will be very cool.
Well, there you have it, guys. That is all of the brand new gameplay that we received on the planet Koboh from our folks over at IGN. Let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this gameplay, what you'd like to see us break down further in subsequent videos, maybe a in-depth breakdown of combat in this game or something like that. We'd love to talk more about this 9 brand new minutes of Star Wars Jedi Survivor gameplay, and I just have this feeling like we're going to get more as we come closer to IGN Fan Fest and as we approach the release date of this game. So this is a very exciting time to be a fan of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And with that said, guys, it is important now more than ever to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, especially if you like these breakdowns, because we will be breaking down all of the upcoming content as we approach through FanFest and through release date. And you're going to want to stay in touch with all these breakdowns as we point out the new features that we are receiving about Jedi Survivor as we receive them. So we'd absolutely love to have you all. That said, guys, that's going to do it for this breakdown. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you all in the next video.